You are now listening to Stranger Times.
Hello and welcome to Stranger Times. I'm your host, Jacob Carson, and today we are joined by Sean, creator and host of Witness Citizen. So first of all, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No problem. It's cool to finally speak to you. I know we had a little chat beforehand about how it's weird, like seeing creators and then speaking to them. But yeah, I've wanted to chat to you for a while. I find it really commendable that you stream pretty much every day. I think that's awesome. I've tried it a little bit back in the day with like gaming and stuff, and it honestly takes it out of you. I don't think people realize like how hardcore streaming is sometimes.
Yeah. It's it's my first time really trying it. So, but it's okay as long as I enjoy it, and I do enjoy it. So, I mean, sometimes I get a little maybe burnt out.
Yeah.
So I may take a day off or a couple days off, but usually it's just because I need to put in some more work. So when I start streaming, I have content again.
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
so.
No, that's
Yeah, but
fair.
it's a cause. So that I believe in. So that makes it a lot easier to do too.
Yeah. I like, to be fair, I find it really cool how you do your like document of the day and stuff. And you kind of sit there with your webcam and you go through it and stuff. I think it's really cool because most of the content that kind of comes out of this area, it's usually either like articles assessing things or it's like
Mhm.
podcasts where people are just like talking to each other or interviewing each other. And I think
But
you doing like the streams and kind of looking at old like material and stuff is really cool. So
oh,
really,
I appreciate. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's like different strokes for different folks. First of
yeah.
all, right? And there's no wrong or right. But for me personally, I would just get kind of bored. If I'm not like trying to find something. Like I just that's who I am. I like to. I've heard Ross Coulthard say this. I enjoy a bit of a good dig.
Yeah,
A good dig.
100%.
I love digging through the stuff and trying to find some truth in there because the field is so muddy
Mm,
and congested, and it's hard to swim through that and find anything tangible that you can hold on to and have confidence in.
yeah.
Uh, so that's what I try to do with the documents is find my own sense of truth here. What happened? Like, what did these say? Where was it? And all that. And I found my disclosure there, to be quite honest with you. You
Yeah.
know, um, like doing that has sealed the deal 1,000% for me. That something's going on. And no, I don't know what it is
Yeah.
yet, or where they come from. But I've seen way too many military reports with radar and everything, for that not to be kind of something serious. So,
Yeah. Is that why you'd probably say you started all of this then? Was it just a natural interest in like the phenomenon, or is it more so like, did you have an experience that kind of kicked it all off for you?
yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, I was very mildly interested in the show Unidentified.
Okay.
Like, I would just watch it when it was on. I didn't even get into the second season really ever. So it was like that. It was like kind of, but whatever. The videos that came out during 2017, they were neat, but it didn't do much for me. As I was like, oh, that's cool, but it still wasn't like any sort of proof or anything to me.
Yeah.
I was skeptical. I was always kind of that type of person, making fun of ghost shows, and all that stuff. I was not that type of person. And yeah, then I had my own um, paradigm shifting encounter that really completely changed my life, and that's why I'm here. This is something I never thought I could have never guessed in a million years that I'd be doing this. A podcast on UFOs, finding documents. and trying to prove it my own way. Um, Even like I was a musician for most of my adult life. Um, and when coronavirus hit, everyone was kind of scrambling for how to, keep that alive, our local music scene and everything. And people were streaming their shows and all that, their music shows. And I had no interest in that, you
Yeah.
know. It just like I played shows for the human connection. Um, and I just didn't think it was possible to do there. So I never did it. And then, so on and so forth. I had my thing, and now I'm streaming every day, playing music sometimes. It's like, I've resigned to the fact that, sometimes you just don't know what your future holds. And so, trying to guess or plan for it can be somewhat futile.
Yeah, 100%. I'm a bit of a musician like you, and I kind of went to uni but did it all in like the music industry kind of thing.
Mhm.
So like I was like super committed to it, and I played bass and guitar, but I was interested in like running kind of like a label or something, and that was what I was going to do. So I got into like design and everything to kind of do all of that, and
Cool.
then just kind of came out of education and just was a bit like, oh, I'm not sure actually if I want to do this. And I started
Yeah.
just reading, and I got like a really boring office job. And I was just doing all these, like, I was just reading all these books, and I got really into science and like discovering that we didn't have the answers to everything. And actually there was a lot that we didn't know. And I, like me being, I don't know if I was just kind of being unaware, but I was kind of just like, what do you mean we don't know this? How do we not know that? What's the
Yeah.
meaning of this? And it kind of
Mhm.
just sparked an interest. And then slowly but surely I kind of went full circle and kind of arrived at like the high strangeness aspect of it and the UFO technology and stuff. Because I've spoken to like Vinny at Disclosure Project and stuff, and I've always said this, is it's like this technology could also like really save humanity, because we don't seem to be in the great position in like regards to like climate and everything really, even like famine and all that kind of stuff. And even
Mhm.
if we roll this out, it's still going to take like 50 to 70 years before really everybody kind of sees like the impact to it. So for me, it's been like a really interesting journey, because I kind of started this to talk to people that are working or researching in this community, because I just like to hear what they've got to say, what kind of bit that they're contributing to it. And I've found, especially since that UAP report that came out a couple of months ago, just been crazy, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It kind of went from being like one or two like UFO/UAP articles a month from big news sources to like one a week from multiple ones, and they're
Yeah.
everywhere, and there's so much
Mhm.
happening around like the topic. And I find it so fascinating, because I'm like you, I fully believe that something's happened. I'm just not entirely sure what, but I've also never had an experience, and I really want one to. Like I would love
Yeah.
to see something.
Yeah. Well, I've been, this could be wrong, of course, but I've been saying this kind of for a little bit now, and I've noticed that, and you can't make blanket statements really, so it can't be 100% accurate, but it seems like people, um, like yourself, where you kind of, your imagination and interest kind of naturally took you here
Yeah.
without a sighting or experience. And here you are convicted doing what you're doing. Myself, not not at all.
Yeah.
The experience is what I needed to be here and be convicted and do it. So sometimes I think like it depends on what you need to be in the right place.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, I got a plane coming by.
No worries.
I roll up the window. All right, sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah, so I've heard that multiple times from people that I really like. Vinny,
Yeah.
he really wants to see something, but he's already like convicted doing this.
Yeah.
He doesn't, you know.
Yeah.
I needed to, or I wouldn't be here. So I think sometimes there's something to that. I think, you know, if if I just use my instinct and intuition, I would guess that something's pulling strings and putting pieces where they need to be to accomplish something greater than we can on our own.
Yeah.
Um, do I have any evidence for that? No. It's just a feeling, you know.
Yeah.
So time will tell, I guess. But yeah, I think right place, right time for the right person.
Mm.
So maybe if you ever genuinely like just hate this again, and you're like, I hate this, not again, but I hate this, I'm not into it, forget it. Maybe that's when you'll have your second.
Yeah, true. This is why I'm also kind of interested in this whole like consciousness and like CE5 element to it, because I would love to go out with like a group of people and try it and just experience that. I haven't really found anyone near me in the UK that wants to do it. I have
Yeah.
spoken to Jay from Project Unity a little bit, because I know he knows some people that are like in the south of the UK and I'm near there. So I was going to try and get in touch with them. But that aspect interests me too, because I've often thought that too. Like, if you were going to communicate with something, it would be really hard to kind of like get your intentions across, because they're not going to have the same thing like on their planet, for instance, or like how it's the old argument of like, how do you explain red is red? Because we both say it's red, but it might look different to each other, kind of thing. And if they don't understand that or have anything to like reference off, how do you have that conversation? Like we can't even talk to animals on Earth. So can you imagine trying to talk to something that's got a completely different experience? Mm-hmm. And you do kind of get to that area where it's like, well, maybe like consciousness would be the way to go. Like that would be the universal language, like either that or math, if you were going to go like more materialistic. Yeah. And I find it really interesting that you do get people that get together and they go out there and they have these clear intentions and they all kind of like sit and think together and wait and think, and they do have experiences and sightings. And I also find it really cool that when people do have experiences and sightings, even if they're in groups, sometimes they can see different things. And I've often thought that like, does it like know that, and is it able to kind of like display itself in a way that you can comprehend it? And then you can also like look at history and be like, well, they used to see like chariots of fire in the sky and stuff, but were they just doing that because people of that time had chariots and they could comprehend that? And I like thinking about all those kind of things too. And I'm interested in that. So would you mind talking a little bit about like your experience? Was it completely random? Did you get a feeling of having to look up or anything like that? Or was it just
question? Well, it was the year of coronavirus, really, 2020. My wife and I just got our house in March. I'd lost my job a couple months prior to that. So things were looking kind of bleak, but we were doing well. But without making it just like a 15-minute thing for you, I'll try to, yeah, it's just hard to compact it sometimes, I guess. But
no, that's fine.
There was this dream I had a few years prior to my experience where I got in a really big argument with my dad, which is just really bad one in person. And I never have done that before with him in my life. So it was very bizarre.
Yeah.
And it was dreams that just seems like real life, you know?
Yeah.
You wake up and you still have that emotional feeling attached to you that you had in your dream of anger and sadness and all that, and you're like, it wasn't real. Why do I still feel this way?
Yeah, like PTSD kind of thing.
Yeah, completely. So fast forward to 2020. I always bowled with him every fall, right? So bowling season was coming up. It was like end of August or something, and I was really like not for this because of coronavirus. I was like, what are you people doing? These are all old men,
Yeah.
like into this closed space with poor ventilation. There was no vaccines at that point, Um, but it was really important to him. This is really important to him. So I was like, I'll do it if people are wearing masks. And he was like, all right. So I show up. Absolutely no one is wearing, no one. And so I told him, like, I can't do this, man. I just can't. And he really just threw a fit, like a hissy fit, and wound up like storming off, squealing his tires, all that stuff. And this has never happened with him before. He's acted that way with other people, but not me. So, anyways, the next day comes and we're like texting, and I'm trying to convey my feelings to him, and he's just not getting it, and kind of turning it around on me. And then I wind up calling him because I'm like, we're just going to talk about this. We'll get this out of the way. And it turns into that same type of argument that I had in the dream. It was volatile, low blows, the worst you can imagine. But it was over the phone instead of in person. Um, so it must have been like maybe 3 or 4 days or 2 days. I wish I remembered or wrote it down. Before that, I'm outside in my backyard just smoking a cigarette, as I do often, unfortunately. Going back into my house, and let's say you're the door, just going to the door, look up. I don't really remember why I was looking up, but I did. And it was like a sideways teardrop, a little bit of a curve. It looked like it was, a little bit higher than my house, which is probably like 35, 40 feet. And it seemed like it just came in and out of the atmosphere or
Yeah.
whatever. And it was a thick, like a thick, white, milky substance it was made of.
Mm.
It was like an active, like it was moving. It wasn't still.
Okay.
It was like swirling around, kind of.
Like a
And then
floating liquid kind of thing.
almost, but just like really dense. Like think of a really thick cloud, and just way thicker than that even.
Okay.
And had like a border around it that was felt like it was alive, like it was in constant motion. Um, Way more so than the actual substance of the thing. My eyes were just fixed on it completely, and for whatever reason, what, I do actually enjoy talking about this because I remember a lot of things. You know, um, for whatever reason, I felt like I had to remember what I was looking at. You know,
Yeah.
and I looked at it harder than anything ever. Um, but it was in and out. It was like a 1 second, 2 second thing. You know, so that happened. Then the bowling and the argument dream comes true. A couple days after the argument, outside smoking a cigarette. Um, and so if you're the front door, my garage is this way, and I'm looking at the garage, and I'm under this tree that's by the garage, which is like 10 feet away from the garage. And I'm just smoking and looking, and I feel like a zap of light right over my shoulder. And I say feel, but I didn't feel as much as my peripheral saw it coming, and then it just zipped. And for whatever reason, I thought like I have to keep my eyes fixated on where that light was going, because I just had a feeling that I was going to see something like that again.
Yeah.
And that's edit.
Ooh.
And sure as shit, there it is.
Yeah.
Same trajectory. I'm just sitting there, and it comes literally in my line of eyesight, right where I was looking. And it lasted the same amount of time. This time it was like a sphere, like a basketball size. It looked like almost, but it was the same uh like substance on the inside and on the border. That was all the exact same as the first thing I saw. It was just a different shape. It went over, and it almost looked like maybe it stopped for like point 0.2 seconds or something.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just like staring really hard, and it was gone. And so that was, and I didn't even realize how close these things were to me until someone mentioned it to me. Like, well, you could kind of figure it out based on. I was like, oh yeah, my house is that high, my garage is there. Um, so that one was like 10 feet away from me, and that light was literally felt like it was on my shoulder. Like right across it.
Yeah.
So that changed my whole paradigm and way of thinking. Dream comes true. I see, and I've had somewhat of a dream come true, but it wasn't, like this.
Yeah.
Um, this was just And it wasn't even, the thing I think about is it wasn't the exact same as the dream, but the you know the fighting, what was
Yeah.
really dream was about, came true. And I almost sometimes think that maybe that thing came around the first time to say, like, keep your head on a swivel, pay attention.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we got in that argument, I did think of that dream, or maybe slightly before the argument, same day, like, as it's ramping up to the phone call, basically, I'm thinking about that dream. And I made a conscious decision to just, like, okay, we're going to have this argument and it's going to be on the phone and we're going to get it out of the way, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to do it in person. And then I saw, the second one, which maybe was like a confirmation, like, yep, you paid attention. Good job. Like, cause I think about who knows what would have happened if we did it in person. Um, he's got a really hot temper. I can get a hot temper. It could have been really disastrous,
Yeah.
you know? Um, so I don't know. I don't know what any of that means or what those things are. But it shook me big time.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can
Yeah.
imagine something like that would be insane to experience. So from that then, did you like what aspect of like the phenomenon then are you like really well not curious, but like why are you doing this now then? Was it because of the experience and you kind of want more people to learn about this, or is it more so kind of like for yourself, like you're doing this research because you kind of want to know after experiencing what you've experienced?
Yeah. Good question. And it's kind of hard to answer, I guess. Because the stuff I research doesn't really necessarily prove what I've been through, right?
Yeah.
Proves that something is there. But I guess, so after that, I definitely went deep on, like, following people on Twitter and, watching podcasts. I did the started getting involved with Big Phone Home, the first one,
Yeah.
which kind of really my send off in all this. So shout out to Luis Jimenez. And I just kept going, like the passion that I had for music, except even way stronger, like, was just in me, and I couldn't really, I can't explain why that is. It's just there, you know. And so doing these actions and researching just feels very natural and enjoyable, and like a mission for me. And I also think that I am trying to prove something, but I have to work with what's available.
Yeah.
The best data available is what I'm looking at, is all those documents from the 50s, because they're public and I have them. And so that's what I'm working with. And that's my best chance at, providing a clear case that this has been happening for a very long time. It's not fake. It's very real. And I'm not saying that what was happening then is what we see in these Navy videos and stuff and what's happening now. I'm almost, I don't want to say not interested, but almost not even interested in that. And I'm just trying to go my own route, prove things my own way. And sometimes I think it's because the waters are so muddy,
Yeah.
you know, with disinfo that. Is this real? Is that fake? Who's your source? I don't know. You, what data does it really show? Who knows? Like, I can't begin to sort that out by opinion alone. I can't do that. That's not how you do things. So I'm trying to go find my own facts.
So do you say that's kind of like the end goal for Witness Citizen then, is just making this more clear to yourself and people that like follow you?
Yeah, yeah. And provide that to people that follow me, right? The people that follow me and watch my stuff are people that um, kind of search for things the same way as I do, I guess, and appreciate it. But it's like, once you start watching those, well, at least if it were me and I started watching those, I'd be like, holy shit,
Yeah.
you know, like, all these military cases, all the sensitive establishments, all this radar, all these radar pickups. Um, it's quite astonishing. And pretty much all cases that no one talks about, or I don't even think knows about. You know,
Yeah.
it's not the swamp gas. It's not that one. It's it's all stuff where I guarantee you, even people in this field, you tell them and they have no idea. So that's what I'm trying to do is make that stuff known, because nobody knows about it, and if they
Yeah.
did, this whole journey and mission would be a lot easier for them. You know.
Yeah. How have like friends and family reacted to you doing this? Because I can imagine like being in America, it's obviously a lot more of an open topic than it here is here in the UK. I've got a lot of friends and family out in America, so like it's weird because like I can talk to my dad who's American about UFOs all
Yeah.
night because he's interested in it too, but I can't really have more than a minute conversation with my mum in the UK because she's just not about it.
Yeah. It's the same exact way for me with my parents, except um, they're both here. you know,
Yeah.
but funny that you mentioned that, because my dad and I obviously made up. Um, and a part of how we did that was through
Oh,
UFOs. He saw, he had his own sighting where he saw like 4 to 5 lights. One of them was a huge, like, search beam, like you see that one picture that's up sometimes
yeah.
with this out of like China or Japan or something. That's how he's describing it to me. He's like, I thought it was like maybe a gas station or something, but there's nothing around there. And he told me about that, and I was like, you never told me this. And all of a sudden we're just talking about this stuff. So it's so freaking weird that this phenomenon surrounds this argument and then somehow brings us back together.
Yeah, that is weird. That's cool
Um,
though.
then I found out my brother had a little sighting too. He's more like super skeptical, but he told me about it. And my grandpa saw a cigar shape with windows.
Ooh.
Um, that was really close to him. So I found out all this stuff too in doing this. So it's been a wild journey, man.
Yeah, I bet. I was
Short amount of time.
yeah, you've had some really good guests as well. I was when you announced that you were doing Senator Reid, I was like, oh my god, no way! And huge props to you, by the way. I know you had loads of like technical difficulties with that one, but you managed to like really keep your composure and keep the interview going. And it was smart,
Thanks.
like getting it on the phone and trying to take off the visuals and stuff like that, because I can imagine that's a nightmare when you like promote something and then that person's internet or something doesn't really come through and you've kind of
Yeah,
got to still run the show.
yeah. And the first time we were supposed to do it, it was canceled. You know, and so here we are again, and then this is happening. I'm like, oh my freaking god, man! What? And my personal life in different ways is kind of rough at the moment. It's getting better, but so I was really looking forward to this, and then that was happening. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me! And this is all going through my head while I'm there with him. And at first we tried to just ditch the video and just do audio through StreamYard, but that wasn't working. So I quick like took the screen off and took a short break, and I had to figure out a way to route Skype into the system so StreamYard would be able to pick it up, and that's what you hear.
Well, props to
I
you
had to
anyway,
call,
man.
but I appreciate it. My profession has been like reaching people and finding people, and just for like business and stuff, and really hard high up people. So I became pretty decent at that, and I was a talent buyer for 7, 8 years at a club here where I booked some really big bands, some just smaller touring bands. But so I got a lot of experience with that stuff too. So it's like my qualities that I've developed throughout my life are being utilized here pretty well. So
That's
it's
definitely, yeah, that's definitely pretty helpful. I've
yeah,
I find it incredibly hard to get in touch with most people because obviously you've got like the social media route, but most have their like DMs turned off. And then you have certain emails, but it's not even their email. It's like a contact one through their website. And you're like, oh, you're never going to even see that. If you do, it's like 3 or 4 week replies and stuff like that. So I can imagine that's a pretty good.
I got super lucky with this 1 week where I had all great guests, David Marler, Bassett, all that stuff. I don't know how to really explain this, but somebody came along in my life that offered to help.
Nice.
And book people. And so I set him up with an email address with my website and stuff. And he's booked that whole week other than Lou Elizondo. I got that one. But he booked all those other guests. I'm like, Jesus, dude. And here.
That's insane. I want to get Luis Elizondo on for a future one. My like go-to three are Luis Elizondo, Tom DeLonge, and Christopher Mellon. Yeah. I'd like to chat to those three at some point.
Yeah, have you any of them or?
I haven't reached out to Lou. I'm currently working on getting an episode with Jay from Project Unity, and I've also got one coming up with Lou from Unidentified Celebrity Review as well. So I got those coming up, but I haven't actually tried to get in touch with Luis Elizondo yet.
If you need help on like best practices and stuff, I can help you out. I can, just tell you what I've learned through business and talent booking. It seems to work here, but at least I can, tell you, and you can take from it what you want.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to pick your brain sometime. That'd be good. But
I help as much as I can, and you seem like a really great dude. So I got you.
Thanks. And kind of same for you too. Like if you need any like social media stuff or design stuff, and your back's against the wall, or you need any help with that, I don't mind helping out, because that's kind of what I do. So I saw that you were looking for some help, weren't you, to try and level up? Well, not level up, but kind of grow Witness Citizen.
Yeah, just so I can do more, right? Yeah, it's like if I do the documents, then that's my day. I can't then make a better intro video with music that's not so loud or whatever, So I gotta kind of pick my poison every day. But I don't mind that too. Everything has its natural course, but I just thought I'd throw it out there to see if anyone had a passion to do something.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is too, is I love making the graphics.
Yeah.
That's like a great aspect. So it's like, but I love the search. So I'm just, I'm doing the best I can.
That's always the best thing though, isn't it? When it's your baby, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You get to like have full creative control over it, and that's sometimes fun when you've got nobody telling you what to do.
Yeah, I started a like a phenomenon content creators Discord.
Oh, nice.
Like an alliance Discord. So I'm pretty picky with who I'm putting in there, but I'll send you an invite.
Oh, wicked! That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. So, is there anyone that you want to like? Is there a dream guest that you want to like chat to on your podcast?
Yeah, I would love to talk to Tom DeLonge too. Just because I feel like I have a lot in common with him, and listening to his how he grew up and everything, and all that stuff. I feel like I have a lot in common with him. So him, man, put me on the spot. It's hard to say Richard Dolan. I'd love to interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's almost too many to say. All the original gangsters, George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, I'd love to interview them. It's quite difficult to get them to be available, but it is what it is. So hopefully, right place, right time. Yeah, but all those people, and really anybody that people want to see me interview, because in the end, I do the interviews for other people. I do the research for myself, and other people happen to want it as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's a good mix though, having like multiple like layers of content, especially when you're like trying to build something, because you can kind of bring people in that want different things. Do you know what I mean? Because there will always be people that love research, but might not necessarily like be able to sit and listen to an interview, but there'll be people that love interviews and don't really want to do the research. So you can always kind of like find people that way. So it's good that you like have multiple ways of like doing things.
I a little bit differently with guests too. I try to make it more just personal.
Yeah.
And let's, I don't want to sit here and press you on this video or that video or what do you know, don't know. I just try to expose human of them, so people realize that these aren't on the screen. They're human who have their own battles.
Yeah. So I found a lot of people with the report when it came out were either underwhelmed because they expected the government to come out and say that extraterrestrials existed and here was full disclosure, but I felt it was quite good from like what we got from it. Like acknowledgement is huge, and I think that it's quite promising for the future. But I like to ask guests that we get on this show, like, what would you kind of like to see next, or what would be like a sign for you that would be like, this is now moving, like we're full steam ahead kind of thing? Like what would it be for you?
Well, to be honest, I was really happy to hear that people were pushing for public hearings.
Yeah.
I'm not fully, aware of what can be said in those, but I don't know what other better thing you can ask for is to put these people in front of our population to answer hard questions that we all have. Like, what else do you? Perfect. Other than like, Biden coming out and saying, here's proof of this and this and this, which would be great, obviously. But that's what I would like to see. Because it reaches everybody at once with the right people.
Yeah.
And they're under oath and they have to say the right things or things. So that's what I'd like to see. Otherwise, in lieu of that, I would like to see a stronger togetherness in the community so that we can be a bigger force to be reckoned with,
Yeah, it's like that
like this. What do they call it? Divide and conquer, right?
Yeah.
We're all divided, and you got your experiencers there and your scientists there, your nuts and bolts there, your skeptic that pays attention for some reason, even though he doesn't believe anything's over there. Like if we could all just like come together for the sake of proof and disclosure and getting answers, that would be great. I think that would be even people who think they know already, just that's fine. But keep it to yourself and help out over here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that like photo, isn't it, of like the shark chasing all the little fish, but if all of the little fish get together, they can like create a fake big fish, and now it's bigger than the shark, and the shark is whatever is in the way kind of thing. But I totally agree with you. Yeah, and I think as well, like, yeah, I would really like to see more of the kind of science community come on board with it, because I know there's a few people like Michio Kaku and Sam Harris and all of those, but there's still a few that are like dead against it. And I won't say names because I've said a few nasty things about it before on social media. But yeah, that's what I would like to see in like the coming months. It's just more discussion, really. I think the more that people talk about it, the more that we get it out there. I'm not really into opinion. I'm kind of like you and stuff. I just want, even if it's an old case, I'm happy to hear people talk about it, and I'm more than happy to hear what they might think it could be and stuff like that. But what I don't like is when people are like, this is factual and this is not, and it's kind of just like, everybody calm down. We're all we're all working for the same goal, but I think people sometimes get upset if, I just think they kind of get grown to it a little bit too much, and they kind of let it become themselves a little bit too much. And then they kind of either get offended if it's not being received well, or if they're not having like the breakthrough that they want. And I think sometimes you kind of just have to remember that, like, as long as you're doing it, that's kind of like what you signed up for, and you should be content because that's what we're working towards.
I think there's very understandable frustrations in certain aspects, well, with people that proclaim really big things that people have been waiting for a long time and have such a huge desire for,
Yeah.
but can't provide anything more than, I guess, just words or what people told them, or um, what they heard from this person or whatever, which very well could be true and maybe is, but it. It's just like it almost feels like just a big tease.
Yeah.
So I think get really frustrated with that. And then they start to think like, are they doing this on purpose? Are they distracting us? What's their end goal? What are they doing? When none of that is probably the case at all. But you just get so frustrated that it's for something tangible, you know, and you get so teased. Like Ross Goldhart is just teasing the crap out of people right now. Stuff, and he could be. I mean, I don't know the guy more than the what I when I interviewed him. He seems honest and genuine to me, and like a really good person. So I tend to believe what he says. But my best friend has lied to me and stole from me before.
Yeah.
Like you just don't know. So you know, like expecting people to take that huge leap of faith is kind of unrealistic. But also, just calling the guy flat out bullshit is completely disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know, so I just try and take a that sounds really awesome. Like wait and like just chill out, wait and see, because it is what it is. Um, so I mean, he put together an amazing book, and
Yeah, he
he's
did.
putting in work, and like, so I try to look at actions too. Speaking of that, like, what are they actually doing?
Mm.
You know, what are they saying? Who cares? Whatever. What are they doing? You know, Lou Elizondo has been the hardest working mother effer in this whole thing
Yeah.
since 2017 or 2016 or whatever it was. There's no one that's been working harder than him that I see, for disclosure, directly with, um, trying to work with government and stuff, and trying to
Yeah.
do it, and not just, spill the beans and go to jail. Um, because of that, he deals with a lot of crap, you know, it's a thankless job,
Yeah.
but you know,
Yeah, no,
uh,
it is, and it's funny as well because it's like you said at the start. You always get two camps of people that fall into it. You get the people that are just naturally interested in it because either when they grew up they read sci-fi books or they were into Marvel or whatever it is that kind of gets you interested in life beyond Earth, or you have
yeah,
the people that 100% flat out do not believe it and they think that everybody is crazy that does, and then you have the people that don't believe it and experience like yourself, and then it completely either changes your life or shatters what you perceive reality to kind of
yeah.
be.
And it's the worst part is the people that have had those experiences that brought them to the table here, that work really hard for disclosure, and get treated differently because of that encounter. Like the whole put your encounters to bed while we work for nuts and bolts and all that stuff, and trying to be the leader of when you can talk and all that. And um, it's just really unfair because a lot of these experiences are very emotional and
Yeah.
can be um and and in doing that, you're allowing the stigma to win. you know you're allowing the stigma to be further inflamed by acknowledging it and changing your actions because of it you
Hmm.
know
I
uh,
can't imagine like experiencing something, especially like traumatic, like not a nice experience or sighting, and then like just being unsure whether or not you can even come out and tell people about it because you don't want their perception of you to change. And then on top of that, if you
something
finally did get the confidence to come out and talk about it, to like have people online that have never met you, don't know your experience, just come out of the woodwork and be like, you're lying.
yeah, and I haven't got that, thankfully, yet. I'm sure I will at some point. I'm more, and I could be making this up in my head, but I more tend to see it in how other people treat me and if they include me in other things or not, you know,
Yeah.
and I can tell that there's, um, with, without being too specific, that there's people that keep me at arm's length because of that. You know? which is unfortunate because I work so hard. But that's just how it is. And I can say that, um, generally speaking, other than people like you, Max, Vinny, Luis Jimenez, experiencers and the people who have had encounters that I know personally, you know, have been the most helpful and heartwarming and sincere people in this whole thing.
Mm.
You know, um, so it's complicated.
Yeah, it is. It is. Always like multi-layered, isn't it? You always have, and
Mhm.
that's the other thing that I found really interesting about like UFO Twitter, for instance, is like I thought it would be like one band, one camp, and it's not. It's like you're saying, there's experiences. There are people that are there for the history and the cases. There are people that are there for like the science approach. There are people there that are for the consciousness element and the CE5 aspect of things. And
Yeah.
it is crazy, isn't it, when sometimes there's a specific like topic or subject that is happening that week and it gets very heated between everyone. And
Yeah.
I sit on the sidelines sometimes and I'm just like, I wish everyone would work together.
Yeah. Well, see that, like, it should be that way where people are, just naturally into what they're into as far as this topic,
Yeah.
and it should continue to be that way. But that doesn't mean that we have to uh be mean to people that have different interests in the topic. Like, just whatever happened, if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say it.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
And guilty of it for sure, but at least I realize afterwards that I'm doing it and try to not do it again. You
Mm.
know, and try to work on it because I realize I'm human, I'm flawed. I did that. I sent a tweet maybe, and I'm like, what's the point of that? I shouldn't have did,
Yeah.
stuff like, I try to at least admit it and take accountability for it and work on it, you know. And I guess even just that little bit would probably help all of us if we all tried to do that. It's not easy for sure, but once you do start doing it, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
You see people's reaction as far as how accepting they are of those mistakes because accountable to them and acknowledge, you know,
Yeah.
then the whole easier you grow closer together with people, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
And I find as well, like the whole, without sounding like one of those people that's like, oh, closed-minded people aren't nice, but like the whole like open-mindedness, like if you're approaching this topic, chances are you're pretty open to having a discussion
yeah,
about things, because I still don't, it might be different in the US, but in the UK you definitely couldn't just like talk about UFOs at work. It probably wouldn't be like an office conversation kind of thing. Yeah,
no,
well, exactly. And like
for the most part.
for me that is quite a big thing too, that I've quite enjoyed about this, like you're saying, like with the like Vinny and James and Jay and all these kinds of people,
Yeah,
because they're like quite open-minded, whether it be through spirituality or their experiences or even like the science aspect of it with like Vinny, because I think Vinny's more, he was a scientist, wasn't he, before or something. And yeah, like all of that, I find it really cool speaking to these people, because I find as well, like most of like the PC warriors online that do have the negative things to say, that if you actually like go and look at their profile, 9 times out of 10, it's not just this topic that they're being negative about. It's pretty much everything. It's society,
yeah,
it's politics, it's music. Their favorite band hasn't released what they expected them to release. The film didn't have the lead actor that they expected it to have. And it's all like little things like that. And that's been the best thing about like me starting this show. And I'm sure you might agree with your stuff, is just meeting people that are kind of on a
def-
similar wavelength to you and are like willing to work and get things done, because
def-
it's motivating and it's fun. Because like if you're having a burnout one week with your content and everything, it's really nice to sit down with someone, come away from that and be like, oh yeah, I feel good again. Like I had a really good chat with Sean and he mentioned
yeah.
some really cool things and all this kind of stuff. And I just think it's really, it's a
Have you
nice group to be a part of. It's just unfortunate that some people get upset.
too? Yeah, yeah. Well, right. It's not. You just said it though. It's not unique to this topic,
Yeah.
right? It's like, just because this topic is pretty surreal, doesn't mean the natural, aspects and traits of humanity aren't gonna follow us here.
Yeah.
They definitely are. Um, but I don't know that anyone's really ever tried to deal with that correctly, you know, or I don't know. But yeah, it is complicated. But yeah, one of the my favorite parts of doing all this was meeting people like yourself, and Vinny and Max are um, they're my support group. Like I really lean on them for camaraderie
Mm.
and a sense of being a part of something. Because I didn't have that before. I mean, yeah, I was talking and Lewis and all that stuff, but they didn't engage me really too much. And I think, because they're super freaking slammed and busy. But Vinny and Max, we naturally fell into a relationship with each other, and just based on liking people,
Mm.
liking each other, and talking deep about stuff, and seeing flaws, and not they don't have any flaws, but seeing my flaws, and and accepting me based on, and it's like we just love each other, and I really appreciate that about them. And they're across the country, or across the world.
Yeah.
There would be no way ever that I would meet those two beautiful souls if it wasn't for this stuff. you know so there's silver linings like that, and sometimes I think maybe this stuff is a lot more about that than we think. you know
Yeah.
a way to um find yourself. you know
Mm. Yeah, no, and I'd like to say like a huge shout out to Vinny too, because when I first started this, he messaged me and he was like, "Congrats on starting this. Keep it up. I'll be like watching. I'll help share your stuff and everything like that." And it's really
and
welcoming.
he
Yeah.
did that too, very much. And yeah, that meant the world to me, big time,
Mm.
big time. And Max totally, we just had one conversation, and all of a sudden it's just like I've known him my whole life. you know
Yeah.
we can make fun of each other or whatever. It's just really nice because they don't take themselves too seriously either. They're very just natural and organic and honest people.
Yeah.
Not saying else does, I'm just saying about them. um so I really appreciate that, because I need that kind of balance in my life, because sometimes I'm too serious, you
Yeah.
know and I need to chill sometimes. And that, and they're always there for me, and they make it known that they're there for me. You know,
Yeah.
something in my personal life happens or whatever, or I had a rough show or interview, like they're there to, you know, let me be a little baby about it for a little while. you know,
Yeah. No, I totally get you. I totally get you. So
yeah,
we're almost coming up on time. So is there anything that you would like to promote within Witness Citizen that you've got coming up?
yeah. I'm currently working on a pretty large project. It's going to take some time, but it involves all all old military cases,
Cool.
and putting together a resource and tool for people to use for their own research.
Cool.
It's going to take some time, but it's only going to involve military civil servant type cases.
Yeah.
um, there's a lot more with the civilian cases, and maybe I'll do that separately. But at this point, people have a really hard time believing any of it. So I'm just trying to prove a point with these cases because they're so strong.
Yeah.
Hopefully, people will be able to use that as a tool for their own research, whether they're looking into triangles or beams or spheres or multiple witnesses or colors or regions and all that stuff. Make it very easy and accessible to search.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that sounds awesome.
basically
Oh,
it.
awesome. Well, I will keep a lookout for that, and hopefully everybody listening will too. Um, finally, where can people find you online?
I have a website that's witnesscitizen.com. There you'll find all my documents. As I go through documents on the show, um, I take them from my own collection that's up there. And so you can go there, and I'm on Twitter at Witness Citizen, Instagram at Witness Citizen. I just made a Facebook, but I haven't done anything to it. So I'm just that. But yeah, that's the best place. You can email me at sraasch at witnesscitizen.com. I'll talk to you if you need someone to talk to. I'm there. Otherwise, check me on YouTube, Witness Citizen UAP.
Cool. I'll put all of these links in the description below too, so everyone can go and click through if you don't have time to type or anything like that. But yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, it's my pleasure. And yeah, we'll have to return the favor, and I'll bring you over to my house. Yeah.
That'll sound fun. I look forward to it. Well, thank you.
All right, brother. Have a good day.
Hi everyone, it's me again. I just wanted to say I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you want to follow us on social media, it's at Strange Times on Twitter and at Stranger Times on Instagram. So head over there and give us a follow to keep up to date with episode announcements and when new episodes are going to be dropping. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to give us a nice review because it helps with ranking and getting the podcast in the charts. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure you're following us so you can be notified when new episodes come out. Thank you.